We're three best friends, and we love Lost, and we love talking, but even more so, we love talking about Lost. So join us for some laughs, good conversation, and let's get lost together.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Let's Get Lost with your favorite Oceanic trio. You have me, Teresa, aka blank numbers, and then we have Kip, Jack Lover 92, and I mean the star of this week's episode, I'm sure, Kate Hate 88, Amanda.
Kate Hate 88.
Kate Hate 88.
You know, I don't want to make any promises or say anything. I have very neutral feelings on this episode. I'm sure we'll all discover.
Okay.
Before we get to that, what happened with your name? Did you decide on one?
No, I put up a poll and then nothing came of it. So I'm going to re-put up the poll.
Okay. Everybody, please go to our social media page, the Facebook page, the Instagram page, or where are you posting it?
It's going to be on Instagram. And you know what? I remember what happened, actually. It's that Amanda made fun of me saying that my things were too fancy. And then I got discouraged and decided, well, you know what? I guess I just will be nameless.
Or you could just make them less fancy.
They're not that fancy.
They were full of puns.
They were a little punny.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was cute.
Well, we just had Kate Hate and Jack Lover. That's the issue I had, was why do you get these, like, fascinating
you've had
ones?
literally months to think about this. Yeah. We made ours on the fly.
Okay, but first of all, you guys just came up with it. Like, I wasn't sure who my favorite or non-favorite.
I was going to say. Whoa.
Okay, well,
before we get to the episode today, last week we got so excited by the cliffhanger and all the excitement around Claire that we forgot a very important milestone. Last week was our 10th episode of the podcast. Yay! Pew, pew, pew.
wow.
Pew, pew. So, yay, thank you everyone so much who's listened to the first 10 episodes. It's been so much fun doing this with our friends and sharing it with all of our friends, family, and some new fans. So thank you so much for listening. Keep listening. We promise to always keep trying to entertain and make it better. So if you guys have any suggestions on how we could do so, please contact us at our social media on Instagram, Facebook. We love interacting with listeners. But yeah, so keep listening and we'll get right into this week's episode, number 12, which is called Whatever the Case May Be, written by Damon Lindelof and Jennifer Johnson, and directed by Kip's favorite, Jack Bender.
Woo!
Enlisting Shannon to help translate the papers he stole from the French woman, Sayid makes a startling discovery. Meanwhile, Kate and Sawyer find a briefcase in wreckage submerged in a hidden lagoon and find themselves pitted against each other when it becomes clear that the contents of the case hold vital information about Kate's past.
We always do this. Like, we read the synopsis and then we give these looks around the table like, what?
Because this is literally there are only two ways that these are written. They either give everything away or absolutely nothing.
Well, because, I'm like, what horrifying secret did Sayid find out?
And
that's what
vital information about Kate's past?
No, that was not vital.
So we go from that, but in episode 10, we find out that it leads to an unnerving conclusion about a passenger named Ethan Wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally giveaway.
So yeah, the write-ups aren't great, and I think they are the same that's on streaming services.
Yeah.
And so for those who are watching it for the first time, I'm sure when you go to pop it on, you read.
I guess if you're watching it for the first time, you don't really understand what some of those things are. No, but it's just kind of funny. It is funny.
Yeah, so that's the episode. It is a Kate-centric episode. Let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. No, I don't find her endearing at all in this episode. And I dare those to defend her after this one.
Well, can I say before we get into too many things, I'll leave it.
You know what? I know where you're going with this, I think. And to be fair, I was being a little bit dramatic. I actually do feel for her in some parts of this episode. So
yeah. So when we get into the discussion, there's some.
There'll be lots. I think keep listening. I think you'll be surprised.
Oh, Talk about a cliffhanger.
I feel like not as surprised as she thinks we're going to be.
Okay, so whatever the case may be, our standard facts about it. This one has so far, I think, like one of the highest viewers of the season, 21.59 million people.
Ooh.
So last week, which was where Kate got abducted. No, not Kate. Sorry, Claire got abducted. Really left people wanting more.
And then they had this.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the viewership is next week. But then IMDb, one of the lowest ratings of the season, 7.9 out of 10.
Ooh, yeah. Well, probably because people were like, I can't wait to find out what happened with Claire.
Yes.
And then they come and they get some like very filler type.
It did feel very filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing really moved forward that much.
Like, and the whole tide thing on the beach. Yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, filler is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Days 21 to 22 on the island. That's crazy.
So it's been a month.
Yeah. Like 3 weeks already. That's nuts. Okay. You guys ready for some trivia?
No.
Yes.
I took a lot of time to prepare these trivia questions.
I know you did.
So prepare to be stumped. How many years, according to Shannon, has Rousseau been on the island?
Oh, she does make like a little snippy comment.
She does. Like 1 million years or something.
You didn't make a sound.
Well,
No, I'm just thinking, like, my thought
I
process.
just think we need to make sure we're always following the rules appropriately here.
I don't think you understand how Jeopardy works. Sorry,
No,
what
sorry.
is...
I think we're all used to my stream. I'm just having a stream of consciousness.
Okay,
moment.
continue.
That's just it.
Sorry.
I don't think we know.
Okay, 16.
She actually says the number. Mm-hmm. Why did we assume?
You're like, oh
Wow.
my God, she's such a crazy bitch. Like,
Well, I just thought she'd
said
be
something
like,
so snippy.
I actually love Shannon in this episode.
Yeah, me too.
But-
Okay,
Wow, way to trick us and make us like gaslight us into being jerks.
that's a question.
Yeah,
I thought she was going to be like, she's just been here like 1 million years. And then it turns out 16.
the accurate number.
What number is the safety deposit box? Wow. Okay.
I really wanted to beat Amanda.
I don't know the answer, so
It's
continue.
8:15.
Yeah, same as the flight.
No.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? I was gonna say 92 for some reason.
Jack Lover.
Jack Lover 92.
The numbers.
Oh wow, that's
Find a
really
way to
important.
snip that Walt.
No, we can't.
No,
that's staying in, and
that's
so is this
canon now.
conversation.
Very
about it.
guttural. I did not enjoy that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just feel like we need to like talk about the. I really didn't notice that. Amazing. I should have known it was.
So, and that's the thing I've noticed. Anytime there's a number, it's going to be either one of quote unquote the numbers or probably one of the flight numbers. It seems like they're all connected in that way.
Not fair.
Okay, last question is kind of like a dual question. So I'm going to read them both before you
Scream.
scream at me. What animated movie is Shannon talking about? And what song is she singing? But like the English name.
Didn't know there was an English.
I only know part of it though. I think they're talking about Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, that's what most people assume.
Yeah, like a fish movie made by the computers.
Yeah.
It's 2004. So,
Finding Nemo.
but I don't remember what song plays at the end of Finding Nemo.
But I don't think... Oh, yeah. So she does say it is at the end of Finding Nemo, but the song she's singing is La Mer, but in English it's Beyond the Sea. Somewhere beyond the sea.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a cute part though.
Yeah.
No? Different thoughts?
Different thoughts.
She has a nice voice.
Mainly because I'm just like an Akko Taco, and I just imagine this like awkward girl that everyone thinks is like dumb and
Just singing.
just singing on the beach to
like actually a really nice singing voice.
the guy,
Yeah.
the guy who like yelled at her earlier. She's like, oh, and then you can kind of hear it while like Jack is like looking at Kate. I'm, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Taco.
Okay, so I think we tied.
Yeah.
Today.
Fair.
It's really important for me to make it clear who wins and
No,
loses
it's
the
actually
trivia.
Wait.
0.5.
You won one.
Yeah, and she got 0.5. Yours was a
I
2-part question,
suppose.
and she only answered one part.
That's true. So Teresa won.
Okay. Okay, fine. The second time you've done that.
I
Great.
really don't like that.
Amazing.
Amazing.
You really like to strip me of all joy.
No, I don't. I love that you won and that you win frequently.
literally sound more enthused.
Well, that's the trivia. All right. So now it's time for
Teresa's Stream of Consciousness.
Yes.
Episode 12. Kate doing what she does best. Climb. What you foraging for? Are those apples? Grab apples? Also, why aren't you more scuffed up doing that shit? Yowza. Do you think they labeled their water bottles so there's no germies being passed around? Also, I like the innovation using the airplane seatbelt. Wow, nice aim, Kate. Well, hey, Sawyer, what a sweetheart, but how'd she get him in the knee? The only place, Kate? Really? Is that so? That's a big ol' island, Kate. Okay, Oasis, yes. Are we gonna move again? Okay, yes. Yeah, you do deserve to do something good. You go swim. It's interesting what they decide to remove to swim. His shirt and her pants. Also, they're so much cuter than Jate. Also, that's a very nice dive, Sawyer. Look at these flirty little kiddos. Oh my god, that's no bueno. No thanks, I don't want to see that. It's gonna haunt my dreams. Have I been holding my breath this whole time? I'm not okay swimming in this water where dead folks are. What's in the case, Kate? You seem happy about it? I wonder what would be on me if this happened. No wallet, I don't think. My wallet's pretty big. I guess I'd have my gotcha. It's your case, Kate. Is it? You at hand. Kate, you didn't even do anything to get your own case. And oh wow, Sawyer's penis pointers. Sawyer, ever observe? You know, Kate. What?
Keep going.
Okay. Well, it's distracting. Okay. You know, Kate, now it's going to look like you wet your pants, ma'am. Probably should have just swam with your clothes on. Just saying, because Sawyer's just going to look wet all over. Kate, you're so bad at this whole trying to convince folks the opposite or whatever you think you're doing. Help me get this case. It's mine. I don't care if you keep it. So why did you touch dead bodies to get it? Duh. Kate, are you not wearing socks? You're going to get blisters. I want to go swimming. That water's mint. Uh-oh, storm? High tide? What's happening? Ah, it is high tide. Nothing is normal about this place exactly. Did we forget about the smoke monster? Also, how did Sayid not know Claire's name at this point? French, eh? I guess it's time for Shannon to enter, maybe. Ah, poor Charlie. Oh, and yep, here's Shannon and Boone. Who's that bald dude in the background? Shannon, shut up. At least he's doing stuff with his time. You've probably read that magazine 100 times already. So what's in the case, Kate? What's in the case? Is Ryan her last name? Oh my god, you have bad luck, Kate Aroni. Why are there no offices in this bank? The manager is just out in the open? Also, is that a typewriter? What year is it? Kate, you don't honestly think you're gonna steal it back? I actually laughed out loud, insane. You're so dumb. Technically, Kate, you're on top of him. Ah, Sawyer, you and I, great minds. But why are we fighting about this? Kate, you gave it up, bro. Technically, you gave it to him. He doesn't have to give you anything. See why this didn't make any sense? What was your plan here? Also, something's wrong with Shannon's feet. It looks weird. What is this angle? I don't know why, but it looks separate from her body. Sayid, did you always have that beard? Because it looks good on you. Also, did you ask all 40-something people who are still alive if they speak French? I think not. Michael, nice to see you've gotten your one line in. Also, how do you know it's a Halliburton? Hurley, what? Why does everyone know what a Halliburton is but me? Ah, and now with the advice. Good job. See, everyone, he does get points sometimes. Wow, everyone's in this today. What are you guys doing now, Locke? Charlie, maybe help Rose with her thingamabob. Rose, yes, exactly. Yes, honorary yet again. You know, this montage entertains me to no end. Sawyer, maybe try dropping it from high ground? Oh, wow. Sawyer and I are on the same page today. Kate, seriously, what is happening? You're all on the same island. Isn't he just going to steal it back from you? What's your plan? Go to the caves? The beach? Bury it? Open it? Who knows? Honestly, Sawyer, same. At this point, I just want to know what's inside and what the big deal is. This back and forth with her is dumb. Also, isn't there a button? Didn't anyone push a button to call the cops? Sir, why didn't you come up with a more solid plan other than saying he's going to take him and then yelling at her to do stuff after the fact? Oh, I should have known. Sketchbag Kate is at it again. You know, Shannon, Candace can but will not try, and I think that's what's happening. Also, what is happening here between Sayid and Shannon? And here we go. Son, again, with the awesomeness. But what is that for the headaches? Kate, get out of here. Stop. Son, what plant is that, though? Why do I feel like you're still lying, Kate? Like it's not just the guns, is it? Also, just break it open. Don't unbury a man. Yeah, you're being a sketchy bitch. And now Jack and I are on the same wavelength. Girl, you are not going to earth a human for guns. You're a lying liar. Oh, I like this budding friendship between Charlie and Rose, though. Ah, and finally, someone mentions the monster. Rose, you're just the best and always the wisest. Can we please not unearth this man? This is so terrible, I can't. Maggie Ryan, you lying liar face. Where'd you get your acting skills, Kate, if that is your real name? Y'all, this is not okay. You put that soil back over that man. This is gross. Oh, bugs. No, y'all, this is gross. No, thank you. I bet she has the key, Jack. I bet she already took it. Oh my God. Did I write this episode? It's because she's just a lying liar pants. Literally can't trust her at all. Hey, Kate, you want to end up at the bottom with Michael? Keep going with this shit and you'll see. Shannon, I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. He's literally making it impossible for you to translate. So why is Sawyer going to give it to you, Jack? Jack, you're such a douche. You're not very doctorly. All for your lying liar pants, lady love. And Sawyer's got the nice dimps again. And here we go. She always lies. Always. Or at least this episode she does. Amanda? Is this what banks are like? Money just lying around when you go through the vaulty thing? Why are you telling him all that? I mean, what do you mean cleaning up after yourself? What the hell team is this that you're all pointing guns at each other? This is ridiculous. What the actual hell is happening? What's in this box now? Oh my God. And what's in the plump little green envelope? Okay, at least we get to see what's in this case. All right, we have money, ammo, guns. Why are you crying, Kate? Wait, how is all that stuff dry? Oh, the plump envelope. I want to see. Show me. It's a tiny plane. This is anticlimactic. Oh dear, you killed the man you love. Was it that douche that you shot in the knee? Also, Kate, why? This is why lying so much is hard. Because when you tell the truth, no one believes you. Literally, the boy who cried wolf, remember? Classic tale. I can't even really feel bad for you, honestly. Like, I don't know what your story is of why you killed the man you loved. You've done a lot of bad things. And on top of that, been manipulating and lying left and right. Does anyone know who you are? Do you? But also, Jack, you want to be fair here. You're kind of an entitled little douche right now. Don't help her then. Don't demand answers left and right. Just leave her be. And Rose, again, I cannot. You are the bomb diggity. And Charlie, my heart, you poor thing. Oh, Shannon, coming in clutch, but her singing to him is awkward. Is everyone listening to this? And then Boone just staring creepily in the darkness at them. Everyone can hear it faintly. Yowza. Kate, this episode did nothing for you. Why was that in a safety deposit box? The end. Oh my God, I left you guys speechless.
Well, you did bring up a lot of really good points.
Yes.
As usual.
Yes.
You mean
yes.
the pointers?
Well, okay. That was unexpected.
I will say I also made a note about how she takes her pants off and he keeps his jeans on.
It makes they're both
Like
wearing
jeans,
The
swinging jeans is
jeans.
not easy.
Maybe he was commando.
I think so.
Yeah, but why would that bother him? Like, he
That's
literally
true.
walked out naked and was like,
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
she's already seen his ding dong. I mean,
There's no reasonable explanation.
no.
Yes, very, very concise as usual.
I also thought Boone standing there was so creepy.
It's so weird. It was very lockish to me. He's been spending
Yeah, he's been spending too much
yeah.
time with him. So,
Lock 101B, creepy.
well, Teresa gave us lots to think about and talk about. But before we get there and before we delve too much into it, we have to hear Dan's hot take to see what it feels like and sounds like to watch Lost for the first time in the year 2022.
especially after watching that last episode and coming to this one.
Yeah, let's see why this got a 7.9 from viewers back then. Welcome, Dan.
The opening shot of this Kate-centric episode, I had to laugh that she once again is working. And immediately, as I'm sure people will have figured out, I've started to take notes as I'm watching the episodes just to help with my hot takes. And I think that's now the second or third time I've written that Kate is always working. sticks, bananas, rocks. She's always moving something. She's always doing something. So credit where credit is due. Now, when they're swimming in the pond,
Okay.
this was a big, how would I say it? Not point of contention, but an unbelievable aspect of this main plot line for this episode. They're swimming in a pond, and yet they decide to open their eyes under the water on a tropical island. It just seems very odd because it's not something, whether you're swimming in the ocean or a lake, that most people open their eyes under the water.
That's reaching. I think you're reaching.
I just found that very strange. Maybe I'm an odd swimmer. I never open my eyes under the water. So I thought that was very strange. And then to come across the passengers and to lead all down that road. Now, this episode was kind of a quiet one because looking at my notes for the last few episodes, and especially coming off the tail of that last really good episode, we've now hit a stride where I have half a page of notes and I normally have like 2 pages for each episode. So I think that just kind of speaks volumes to this. Just kind of felt like maybe it was material that was left over. Maybe it should have just been a longer episode before. Maybe this should have been put into Kate's original episode. I don't know. It just kind of felt like I was trying to figure out what was going on with this episode, or maybe what the purpose was of this episode. I will say when we get to the bank scene, then I started to understand, and maybe they should have expanded that more, because I actually felt that was a really strong storyline. I really enjoyed the bank robbery and then finding out the last minute that she's in on it. I thought that was quite interesting, and I actually really liked that little storyline. It wasn't quite the big goosebumps or anything like that with the Ethan storyline, but I did I did like that. So maybe they could have just expanded it a little bit more. And coming back to the idea that Rose is always full of really sage advice and good direction. I think this is like now the 3rd time that she's kind of been this source of, or this voice of reason, or voice of just calm, collect, smooth. She's a great character, and I think it's a reminder of why she's such a strong character on this show, especially when you're on an island contemplating your future or your very existence on this island. So props to Rose, even though this is a Kate episode. And I do have to say, I'm not maybe a Kate hater, but I can understand now some of the animosity or the friction that people would have to Kate as a character, because she breaks that trust with Jack in this episode again. And I think that's a huge, I wouldn't call it a deal breaker, because again, we don't know everything about that backstory, but I do think that was like a almost unforgivable thing, because she consciously made that effort to lie to him on multiple aspects of this one storyline. So I started to feel for Jack, because I think he's falling for her, and maybe that's where they're going with this, but it seems to be he's falling for her and she's now this manipulative or complex person that he's not going to be able to figure out. And he is a by the book, rational person. He's a doctor. And yet there's going to be this enigma in Kate that he can't quite figure out. So all in all, a quieter episode, but still sweet. It was kind of slow. I felt it dragging at moments. And then in an odd way, boom, it felt like it was over. So it didn't quite catch its stride compared to some of the more recent episodes. And then I tell myself that every good show cannot just be go, 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 because that's just not going to be the rhythm, especially of a multifaceted show with this many different layers and this many different characters. So I would say it's a middle of the road show. It's not a bad one. It's not a good one. I would say it's a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
Okay. So can I just say, it's interesting you say that, because I think being on network television, especially when they didn't have to compete with streaming, you found a lot of television shows had these quote unquote filler episodes, because they had an order of episodes to fill. The network said, we need 24 episodes. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, you can't have every single episode be their A game. So in streaming services, which we're so used to, the creators kind of call the shots and say, we're only giving you 8 episodes and every episode is going to be like this intense thing, right? So it's neat that you caught on to that, because that's kind of how we felt too about it.
And so maybe I should then, because thinking back to what I did say, maybe I will revise this to about a 6.5 out of 10, because there's also something about the habitual nature of network television. And I remember being younger, and you had your regular night on television, and it was more the comfort of the show you knew versus being impressed by the show you knew, because it was not about being blown away every single week. It was about connecting with the characters and connecting with the storyline. And it didn't always have to be this epic, what is, I guess now more the streaming style of a television show. So I can actually appreciate that, because sitting down after a day at work, you flip it on, you might have been watching another show after it. I can actually appreciate having a bit of a quieter pace, but yet you're still finding out layers. It's not like nothing happened. No. They still did bring in quite a bit of new stuff into this episode. So actually I will revise it to a 6.5.
Okay. 6.5.
So how did you feel about the tide rising? Because when I watched that, I was like, I think Dan's going to really enjoy that they have a island problem that they're addressing.
Based on his look, I don't think he remembered.
I honestly forgot about that.
I actually made a note of it being
really?
like, I think Dan's going to really enjoy this, because it kind of talks about like their dated, like it's a more like basic, we're trapped on an island problem. And I know you don't, you like when they deal with the island stuff.
And that's very true. Actually, I remember when that scene was occurring, I was very surprised, and maybe there was and they cut it, but I was very surprised that there wasn't a line about, why don't you just join us at the caves? Like, this is a reason to not be on the beach. Do you want to have to keep moving yourself? You're exposed to the elements. Like, I'm just shocked that
they did mention a little bit of it, because I can't remember who's talking, but Hurley essentially says, or someone says, like, well, they don't want to, like, it's not very compelling.
I think it's Sayid.
Oh, yeah, Sayid and Jack are talking.
Yes.
The pregnant girl, right?
Yeah.
So Jack kind of says, like,
you could just come to the caves, essentially. Because
he's like, why do you, like, moving up the beach is only going to be a temporary solution. And then Sayid's like, well, no one wants to go to the caves after what happened to the pregnant girl. So they kind of address it, but yeah, they don't really, like, he's not like, come to the caves, everyone.
No, not campaigning again.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Again, shaking hands, kissing babies.
No, and I will now actually look for that, because I feel like I can be very critical. And then when I'm given something that I enjoy, I don't actually maybe recognize. So I will.
A little bit of self-reflection.
Yeah.
Wow, we are covering it all today on Let's Get Lost.
And man, were you correct about manipulative. Not so much complicated, but manipulative for sure. Good call. That's my favorite word to use to describe Kate. And I have it written about 18 times in my notes for today.
And because this was a Kate episode, can I bring a piece of Kate trivia to ask of you three?
Please.
The Oceanic Three?
Let's hear it.
And maybe this is old news for Lost fans, but I was a little blown away when I found out about this.
Oh.
In 2009, so I don't know what season we would have been in 2009.
Depending on when, it would be either the end of 5 or the beginning of 6.
February 2nd, 2009.
So the end of 5.
All right. Evangeline Lilly launches a charitable initiative.
All right.
She has multiple, I will have you know. She has multiple charitable initiatives, but this one launches in February of 2009 to auction off what? To raise money for a charity called Task Brazil, to give the street kids in Brazil a fighting chance at a happy and prosperous life.
Sounds fake. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Evangeline Lilly, is that also your shelf company?
This has been verified on 2 websites.
Okay, so fine. Maybe she has a connection to Brazil. Okay, what is it?
Bananas she picked from a tree.
Wow.
Incorrect.
Some things she's worn.
Warm.
Oh, man. That's all yours. That's not yours sound. That's mine.
What?
Stealing people's sound.
Her fingernail clippings.
Ew.
Is that something she's wearing?
Kind
on
of.
her body. He said warm. He didn't say.
Okay, what is it?
It's going to be something weird. Her, like, bra or something.
Lingerie auction.
Oh.
She handpicked over 2,000 pieces, which were an assortment of cuts, colors, and styles.
2,000?
Oh, so she didn't wear them.
That's where the conflicting information is. They say it's her lingerie, but it's not.
I don't think
They were sold on eBay.
This sounds more and more phony the more you talk about it.
Fake news, Evangeline.
No, but I feel like I heard this.
I feel like I have to. You know what? I don't doubt she's involved in charitable work. I just wish that she believed in
2,000 pieces. Like I feel like maybe like some, maybe she. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to.
She wore a lot in the show when you think about how many maybe pieces that she had to wear on every episode. But her biggest charitable interests are being an advocate for the poor. She was once a missionary in the Philippines.
Oh,
she visited the poor in Rwanda.
Okay, you can't just
and
say
used her celebrity status to help promote a video aimed at teaching teenage girls how to defend themselves against rapists.
okay, well, that's good.
Okay, you can't just say, I visit the poor.
Yeah.
That sounds very... Anywho.
This was 2009.
I'd like to hear about the charitable endeavors they did to, like, give back to Hawaii as they ripped it of its resources while they filmed there.
I don't think they ripped it.
Wait, what?
They do.
Oh my God.
You got real better real quick. Dan, we better wrap this up.
She's getting into it.
Thank you very
right.
much, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
And I like how
Thank
you
you.
try to build up Evangeline Lilly a little bit before we rip into her on the show.
We rip into Kate.
Dan's like, I want to give her a fighting chance.
We rip into Kate, not Evangelina.
Okay, so let's get into the episode. Should we go through the... We seem to lately be going through the flashbacks.
Yeah, I like that.
This one is a little bit harder to separate out completely because the flashbacks kind of dovetail into what she's looking for. But essentially, she's in a bank. She's trying to open an account or something.
She's a
together.
photographer.
And we know it's fake in some way because she's given a fake name.
Yes.
So we know that this is likely it. And again, with the flashbacks, it's interesting because we don't know the exact timing of everything, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't know how far before she's on the island this is, but we know clearly there's still some fake business going on. And we see that she's a part of this, or that the bank's getting robbed. So we see that she's supposed to be this innocent victim in all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the flashbacks in this episode are... It's not as complex as other flashbacks. Mm-hmm. Like, it is really just one scene cut apart in a few times. So, I mean, she is very convincing at first that she's a victim. Mm-hmm. And then it all just falls apart.
And I think that, like, again, I'm going to not joke about it too much today because this episode, I want to say, I appreciate, for those who watch and know about Kate, I appreciate that her backstory is tragic in ways. And we're going to see a lot of complex history for her. I don't mean to negate that or to downplay it. Like, I believe Kate has been through things. But what I fundamentally don't like about her is so present in this episode, which is she, for whatever reason, however she got this way, she is so good at lying.
Yeah. And
she's so good at manipulating the people around her. And I'm annoyed at her at the end when you clearly orchestrated this, okay? And she's in cahoots with the guy. They do that kissing scene. You clearly orchestrated this. And you manipulated him. And I made a note of that. I'm like, another man manipulated by Kate into breaking into this bank so she could get what she needed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when she turns on them at the end and is like, no one's supposed to get hurt, it's like, what do you think you did to all these people?
Exactly. You've just traumatized a whole bank full of people.
Yep.
Like, they're hurt.
And when that guy kind of has a little uproar or whatever, and then, like, someone could have gotten hurt then.
Well, exactly. And then she did. She just started shooting around, like...
Yeah, she shot him in the leg.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that's, like, difficult is, like... She, like, goes in on these, like, weird, kind of like when she was driving with that guy, right? Like, she runs him off the road. And then she's like, oh, I have to save him. So in this case, she orchestrates this bank thing. And then she's like, but no one's supposed to get hurt. It's like, well...
But what you're orchestrating and what you're planning is an illegal act where you're getting people with guns, real guns, to come into a bank full of unpredictable situations. Someone could get hurt.
Exactly.
Just because you say no one's supposed to get hurt doesn't make you good.
Just because at the end, like you said, Teresa, with bringing up the other thing, just because in the end, after you run the guy off the road, you pull him from the wreckage, and just after you traumatize a bank full of people, you don't let them kill the bank manager. You're not the hero here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that for people I've seen like on Facebook groups and Reddit and stuff, people who defend her. And if you want to defend her by saying, you know, she's been through a lot and this is how she has to cope, I'm willing to have that conversation, but don't pretend that she's this like amazing, benevolent. People are getting hurt because of her actions.
Well, even if you take out the fact that obviously we know what, you know, for what more of her story is, like just taking it solely in the context of the first 12 episodes, there's a girl who lied about herself. She's wanted. She had a U.S. Marshal come after her in the U.S. All you know is that she gave that Australian guy a fake name, ran him off the road, pulled his arm out. And now you know that she orchestrated a bank thing. She's been manipulating Jack and Sawyer the entire time. Like, there's not a lot of good here that you can kind of go on. And I think that this episode didn't do a lot for her. And it's at the end with her, like, crying. Like, I feel like I'm sorry that, you know, the man that you loved is dead. But also, like, if I think about all the things I know about you up to this point, like, I feel like, did you do it on purpose? And then say, oh, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, I don't know.
Well, you're right. Like, you can't really take anything she says at face value, because just because she says, oh, it wasn't supposed to happen. Well, sorry, but you're making these things happen.
Exactly.
And if the plane little, like, I don't remember exactly what the deal is with the plane.
Me neither.
But if it holds some sort of sentimental value and that's all she went there for, and I really don't remember that part of it, then that's a lot to put people through for this, no matter what the sentimental value may or may not be. And if there's more to it still, like, not.
And that goes back to her selfish character. Because exactly that, if it's sentimental, that's extreme.
Yeah.
If that's purely sentimental, but if it even is something else, you're very selfish to put all those people through that just to get something.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, when I always say it's fundamentally my issue with her is that she's selfish. Does she climb trees and pull apples down and pick bananas and generally isn't like a, you know, like vulture on the island? Yeah. Like, I'm glad to see that she pulls her weight, and I think she is useful. And I think that she's got a traumatic past, but I don't like that she manipulates people around her to get what she wants. And that is what is happening in this episode, both in the flashbacks and on the island.
Keep in mind, at this point, we don't know that she has a traumatic past.
Well,
Yeah, but I think it's safe to say that something's gone on.
It sounds like she's crazy.
Yeah.
To be honest, it sounds like all she does is create alias after alias. And she's been on the run for God knows how long.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's because we have no context, right?
That's true.
We don't know if that bank robbery is like 6 months before the Australia thing or
years,
5 years. So we don't know how long she's been. But it doesn't paint a very good picture of her. It's I don't really know what the back or the flashbacks are supposed to tell us about her.
Me neither.
Me neither.
Other than this behavior and her ability to lie is been ongoing for. And I guess to show that she does have some sort of morality and like line that she won't cross. But I think we did kind of see that with the Australia guy.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's just reinforcing it, because I agree. I don't really understand the flashbacks and what they're supposed to hit home for us as viewers, other than
Don't trust her.
another reason maybe the marshal was after her. Like, this is another, or a crime that she's committed. Is this the only crime so far? Potentially, I think so.
Is that what we're supposed to think is why he's after her?
Yeah.
Maybe, right? This is,
Yeah.
It's not, spoiler alert for those. Well, maybe it's part of it. Who knows? But it's
I
definitely
think
not.
it's adding to the list.
It's not helping anything.
It's really not.
So, I mean, and that's just it. Like, it is sort of one note in this episode on Kate.
Yeah.
It's really hard to feel any sort of sympathy or empathy for her in this episode based on what we see on and off island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ultimately what the flashback shows us is that she gets that envelope, and that envelope is what's in the briefcase, which is what she ends up looking for at the end. But to go back to what's happening on the island then, Kate and Sawyer, that scene is so funny to me. Like, of course, they find this like beautiful lagoon. They're like, let's go for a swim.
And they're frolic delightfully.
Let's go to the rock. Like,
And he's like tickling her in the
very
water.
funny. Like,
He did have a good dive though, Teresa. I agree. That was impressive.
He looked
great dive. And great penis
fantastic.
pointers, apparently.
Yeah. Yes.
And I do agree kind of with Dan when he said like the eyes open thing. I don't swim with my eyes open. Do you guys?
I mean,
I do if I'm swing laps.
I don't really know if I do or not, but I think when this is just how I'm different, I suppose. When I'm watching a TV show or a movie, I don't really think of things like that.
Yes, Dan is very observant to stuff like that. But obviously, at the end of the day, whether or not it's just a way to get them to see. And that was creepy, but I think we could all tell like that wasn't going to be a happily ever after moment for them for long.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing is ever happy on this island.
And so they find the dead bodies, which are so sad. He's like holding his.
I know.
That was heartbreaking. I love the continuity of Sawyer still having a bandage on his arm. I mean, like it would make sense that he wouldn't have healed yet, but I think some shows might not have.
Yeah, they would have just left it.
Yeah. So I loved that. And we also hear about it again later, so it makes sense. But yeah, and then they get the case, the infamous case.
Can someone please explain to me what was happening with her whole, it's mine. And then he calls her out and then she's like, well, you can take it.
Well,
And then goes to steal it.
I know.
I
know.
And then gets Jack involved
What was
eventually.
the thought process there? Just open it with him. And if you open it with him and he's like, oh, I'll take the guns, just be like, okay,
Fine, I want the envelope.
Walk away.
Exactly. But I think, and that's just it. I don't know what type of character they're trying to paint with Kate here, because she's so flippy floppy on what she wants to do, but they don't even do a good job of explaining why that is. Like, she goes from one extreme to the other, exactly that, saying, it's my case. Oh, well, just take it. I don't care what's in it. Like, well, obviously you do. And Sawyer's not buying it.
No, especially when you come at him in the middle of the night, assuming that, like, I'm sorry, there's no way you were going to take that from him.
I know.
Like, you're so stealthy. Like, come on.
And like, I don't know if part of it is that like she doesn't want him to have the guns either. Like they're probably, again, like I appreciate that she has some morality and she has like good motivations at times. So I'm sure there's a part of her that's also like, I don't particularly want Sawyer to have 4 loaded 9mm, but like you said, is that part of it? Like, it's really hard to tell with her. And part of it is that like she lies to everyone, Jack, Sawyer,
anyone who's willing to listen.
and so we don't know what to believe with her.
And I feel like at this point, what she's been through with Sawyer, I don't think for everything that we've seen of Sawyer and that she's seen of Sawyer, she would truthfully not want him to have the guns. I think she fundamentally thinks he's not a horrible person,
Right.
Especially based on what we've seen the last few episodes where she's kind of sticking up for him. So even that part is like when she's telling Jack this, like, well, you really want Sawyer to have the guns kind of thing. And it's like, well, I think maybe even Jack sees through that a little bit. Hence why we'll open it together. And he doesn't really trust her from the beginning either.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think that's what's hard about this episode is it's so hard to trust her in this episode. Yeah. And like, I was thinking about remember when Jack was like trapped in the cave, like the cave in or whatever, and she like abandoned helping Sayid to do, she just didn't give a shit. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like a similar situation where whoever this guy is that she loved and whatever this deal is with this plane, like she was willing to do anything to get it. But like she went in such a weird, like roundabout way to get there. And it was so convoluted for no reason. And she involved all these people, Jack, Sawyer, for what? She's, I don't know. You can't really feel bad for her.
I did enjoy the montage of Sawyer trying to open it against the rock. That was good. Yeah.
I did like that, like, yeah, and then the whole, like, I did like Michael and Hurley giving him a hard time. And Halliburton is a company.
I thought that...
Isn't it? Like a gun manufacturer?
Yeah,
they're a gun manufacturer.
But I agree. I didn't know I wouldn't know that it's unopenable or whatever.
Me neither.
Well, I feel like in the U.S. they're a little bit more
That's true.
aware of their gun manufacturers. But yeah, they're like a gun manufacturer.
Because even Hurley knew.
I know. Well, he's from California, LA.
Like the idea, I think, is that gun cases are supposed to be somewhat impenetrable.
True.
Other than high impact velocity.
Yeah, and then that was hilarious. And then, and I will say this, I kind of do like how she like sneaked up and got a stole.
I did that too.
Like, that was kind of funny. Yeah, I really did think that was kind of funny.
That was funny, but also like, you're such a sketch bag. Like, what are you doing?
It was pretty funny.
He just wants to open it. Like, if he was gonna open it, like just then
be there
go
with
steal,
him,
or just take it after. He'd be like, I don't need this. It's a toy plane. He's not gonna think twice when there's money and guns in there. Come on.
Yeah, if anything, you had a better shot of opening with Sawyer and having Sawyer not give two shits about that than Jack, who's like, I'm overanalyzing everything you do.
Yeah.
So it is a filler episode. We talked about that. Dan also talked about how he had half a page of notes versus what he usually does. But there are a few like kind of fillery type things that are cute and like good. Mm-hmm. And like Charlie and Rose is one of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it's true. Like, we don't know how long it is since, like how much, well, I guess it's been a day or two, but it is right after Charlie has essentially lost Claire and almost died. Mm-hmm. And you can still see the scar on his neck, which is like pretty scary. So, but I loved when Rose was like, you think you're the only one who's got something to be sad about?
Yeah. And I know that she knows that like that's what he needed. Like he needed to be doing something. So that was really cute when she's like, well, you're helping me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we have Shannon who's still treating this like a vacation in some ways.
Sunbathing. Her line when she was like, I have a pretty good base.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, we're pretty close to the equator. You might not want to sun. Have a pretty good base.
I know. They're kind of like, so there's clearly like a hint of like something to come with them. And, you know, I kind of think that's a good, like they're a good contrast to each other because she is kind of, you know, and you hear her say it later when she's like, I know I'm like useless. Didn't you hear I'm like useless? I did feel for her in that. I actually really like Shannon in this episode.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we give her a hard time and that crying scene will never not be hilarious in that first episode. And she is purposely difficult, but clearly she's heard that a lot in her life.
Yeah.
And, you know, you hear that enough. Like, why wouldn't you believe anything? Like, why would you believe anything differently?
Yeah.
And so we kind of start to see that, like, when, I don't know, valued, if that's the right word, for something, she does deliver. And I think that's very sweet. And I think the contrast of like having this kind of quote unquote useless character kind of matched up with like arguably one of the most useful characters is actually really nice because he is really good at what he does. He's really efficient. He's really effective. He's really helpful. So he clearly like sees something in her and can like help bring it out maybe. So like watching them, I have like hope that like she's going to find like a little bit more of a place.
I was so annoyed at him though when he was getting mad at her for like the translations.
Oh my God.
And when she was finally like, dude, I told you I can't really translate. Like, shut up. I was like, good for you, Shannon.
I really like that she stood up for herself because not only is she already insecure about it, but you're yelling at her dirt.
I know. Like,
what
come
is she?
on.
The whole time she's probably sweating, being like, is this the right word now?
Yeah.
Like I've been second guessing everything because if I don't say the right thing and it doesn't match these weird mathematics,
Yeah, the crazy lady wrote.
Some more. Yeah, like Jesus. It was just not.
But it's kind of like another moment where Sayid maybe isn't so calm under pressure, right? Like he's very useful, I agree, and he's very good at what he does, but we've seen him sort of lose it quite a few times when push comes to shove.
That's a great kind of segue into my favorite moments of the episode. Talking about men who are unable to keep it together under pressure. Who said Jack was calm, Daniel? Yet again, we see him need a solution, and he comes at it from a very harsh place. He threatens to withhold Sawyer's medicine.
I know.
That's insane. When he said that, I was like, you have lost. Like, what the hell?
And the way he describes it to him, like, Jack, you're a doctor.
Yeah.
A, you're never going to do that. And be like, stop describing it like that. You're so weird.
It was very strange when he already doesn't, Okay, maybe it's like we know he doesn't really trust Kate, but I think he mistrusts Sawyer more.
I think what it was here is like, cause right before that, we didn't completely touch on it, but the scene right before that, or like near that, is when she comes to him and she's like, and he's like, well, we're gonna open together, and she's like, of course.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell she's lying. He knows she's lying.
Yeah.
But I think you kind of nailed it on the head. Like, he doesn't trust her, but his like distrustfulness or distrust of her is somewhat personal. Like, he's concerned about like what her distrustful nature or her dishonest nature says about like their relationship. Whereas I think he just doesn't trust that Sawyer won't go crazy if he has a bunch of guns.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I think so. And then this whole tide thing. So this was actually legit. The tide was threatening to come up on Hawaii and wash away their set.
Oh.
So they actually had to move it. Otherwise, all their stuff would be washed out to sea. And so they had to write it in somehow. So that's
cute.
It is kind of funny how it is like kind of like filler, but it is actually a legit reason they had to do it.
Have the cast do half the work.
Yeah, right.
And you know what? It's interesting because I find like it kind of goes in waves of like what their issues are.
Mm-hmm.
And so like so many things are happening to them at a time that like there's just no time to like dwell on something. So the first couple episodes is this like mysterious monster and like all these kind of like quote unquote supernatural elements. Mm-hmm. And then we've got all this infighting. Mm-hmm. And then we've got this Ethan Rom thing. And it's like almost like, oh shit, we forgot that we're also on an island where things like the tide could also destroy us.
So true.
So it's kind of, I thought it was good timing to kind of show like, yeah, despite all of the like interpersonal issues we're having, like you guys are still stranded on an island and you have to find a way to cope and survive.
Yeah, I like that too. The only thing I will say about this episode that like kind of that I don't love is that, first of all, the tide thing was like such a minuscule part of the episode. But then on top of that, you had a glimpse of almost everyone except for like Jin, which is fine. But like, because you had these like, Locke had one scene.
Yeah.
Boone had 2.5, if you count the like creepy thing. Sun had 1 where Jack was like, what is this plant for? And it was just almost like, we didn't need that. Like it just kind of felt like, I mean, have a filler episode. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't have fillers in the filler episode. And I felt like that's what that whole like, did anyone see like the snippet of Locke? Like we couldn't have put that in like a different episode. Mm-hmm. It just didn't like really, the flow of it was so weird because you would just go to different characters and then so much of Kate. And it just felt like really disjointed when.
Well, the axe is what Boone took, right? Mm-hmm. And I agree. The flow was not great. And I think, you know, when you have a show where you have to have your credited cast be in it at like each episode and they don't have a strong episode story to put them in it, it is probably going to suffer in that way. Yeah. And the axe was also so that Sawyer couldn't find it to use to open up the case.
Yeah.
Which again, like it's probably not that clear that that's why. But because I agree that scene where Locke, well, which is it?
I was just
did they
about
see
that.
you or you don't know? I was like, this is weird.
This is like the Locke Boone thing is getting weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
Well, that's why I'm glad Shannon brought it up because she was like, what are you guys doing?
And he just, that creepy stare.
They've been spending too much time together.
Well, it's good they're you mean Locke and Boone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant Shannon and Boone at first.
So, you know, those are kind of like the fillery type things, but Jack gets the case from Sawyer at the end of the day. And then eventually they dig up
just unnecessary.
The marshal.
Throw it off a cliff, a higher cliff than whatever Sawyer did.
Yeah, but I'm sure it could have been
like,
done.
My God, you're going to dig up a man who had already suffered. He's been under there for like 2.5 weeks for a key so that you can get this tiny plane, this toy plane. And we don't know what the importance is at this point, but like, you're telling me you couldn't have found any other way to open that case without digging up a human.
It's interesting when you say it like that, because it just like reminds me of everything we said at the beginning, that she's willing to put all these people's lives at risk to rob a bank to get it. And here she is again, willing to do something that most people would never, ever want to do, no matter what. I can't think of anyone. I think they only ever dig up bodies to help solve like a crime.
This is not a crime.
Well, it is considered quite disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right. You can tell Jack doesn't really want to do it, but also he's agreed to, because let's talk about why Jack's willing to do this. Jack just wants to know about her life at this point. Like he's so curious about it, and to the point where I will say I really don't like the way he talks to her in this episode.
No, he's a dick.
Like, I don't think that Kate acts appropriately in a lot of ways, but I don't think she's done anything to Jack, or that like it's day 20 to 21 or something.
Yeah, 21, 22.
21, 22. You've known this person for 22 days. I appreciate it's a very complex situation, and you probably do feel like connections like way sooner, but you haven't earned the right to talk to her like that or treat her like that. Like, he's so aggressive with her about her sharing things with him.
Yeah.
And yeah, fine. If you want his help, like, he can kind of ask why and be a part of that. But when they get that case open and he's screaming at her to like know what's going on, it's awful to watch. Like, Jack, you have no right to talk to Kate like this.
No, it was rude.
She doesn't owe him that much yet by any means.
No.
But Jack's so calm.
He's so calm. And then when he forces that reaction out of her, that emotional kind of, and then he just walks away from her. And I get that like what she said is
Jarring.
not good and it's jarring, but at the end of the day, like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
You know, a U.S. Marshal was flying to Australia to take her home.
It's gonna be bad.
You've pushed her and pushed her and pushed her, and you finally get the reaction you've been pushing for, and you walk away from
Like,
her.
it almost seems vindictive.
Yes.
Like, almost like a way for him to just torment her a bit for whatever reason. Maybe he's still annoyed that she kind of flirts with Sawyer, but it is very peculiar and not a good moment for Jack.
I don't like him in this episode.
Also, as much as we can blame Kate for doing God knows all this weird stuff, at the end of the day, Jack is an adult. He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. You don't want to dig up the Marshal? Don't dig him up. You want to know what she is up to? Fine. You don't want to know? Then leave it. But you don't get to essentially berate her. I mean, then there's the problem that like Kate lies so much you can't believe anything she says, but it doesn't warrant you screaming at her like that. Like, it's
Like when you said in your stream, like, just don't help her.
yeah, just leave her alone.
Exactly.
That's exactly, I think, what my issue too is. Like, you don't have to trust her, and I get that she's not trustworthy. You don't have to trust her.
Yeah.
And don't like
Yeah.
ask her to watch guard over you at night.
Yeah.
But like, if you take issue with her, then leave her be. Like, there's absolutely no reason
No, you gotta pick
to
one.
scream at her. And like you said, fine, she's coming to you. She wants your help. Maybe you feel like if you're going to help her, you deserve these things. If she's not willing to provide you what you want, don't help her.
Walk away. Yeah.
Right? But berating her into having an emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
Or like ask nicely. And that's the part that I just drives me crazy about Jack. He goes up to Sawyer and he's like, if you don't give me this, you're going to die. And then, she gets what she wants and he's like, tell me. Like, maybe we try this. Maybe we say, hey, Sawyer, Kate really wants to open that. I'll tell you what's in it. Or you can come with us. Hey, Kate.
Very different.
Why did we dig up a body? What is that? Like, why can you just not ask why are you so quick to like?
He's so aggressive.
He's very aggressive.
So aggressive.
Well, and I liked when Sawyer was just blunt. He's like, whatever she's told you, she's lying.
Yeah.
And it's like, Sawyer sees it, and we know Jack sees it, but he's less willing to admit it to others. Whereas Sawyer's just like, I'm just going to kind of play with it at this point.
Yeah, he 100% knows. He's just like, he's like, this is dumb. Because it is dumb.
Exactly.
Like, at this point, it's a game to Sawyer because there's nothing else to do. And
he likes getting under people's skin.
Hot.
Yeah.
Like, but Jack's like, I think I love you. But you're not telling me the truth.
And at the end of the day, like, maybe he doesn't believe her there either, right? Like, it's hard to believe that she's Like, for example, I did not feel anything when she broke down, other than I do think Jack was in the wrong. I didn't feel anything. I didn't get emotional for it. But when Charlie breaks down to Rose, I was like bawling. That's so sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their moments were really good. And you're right. Like, she knew he needed something. You know, I'm not a particularly religious person. The prayer I could have done without, but I get a lot of people feel that need in moments like that, I suppose.
And it was just so, like, I really like when she said there's like a fine line between denial and faith.
Yes.
But it's like nicer on her side of the line.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's cute. Like, because, you know, everyone kind of gives her a hard, not everyone, Jack and Charlie now, both kind of give her a hard time about this, like, you know, complete, utter faith she has and belief that her husband is still alive. And, you know, she doesn't really care what people think, and she's just happy to feel what she feels, and, you know, and to help people where she can. And, you know, she keeps to herself. She doesn't really push, you know, so like, let her have that. You know, I find it very encouraging to watch her and how she feels about everything.
Agree. And I like that she's not being like, she obviously believes that her husband is alive. She's not running into the jungle like a crazy person and trying to find him.
Yeah.
She's like,
so true.
We will find each other in due time. Like, there's no point in rushing and going crazy.
Everyone else has this craziness to them.
Yeah. Like, she's very calm considering she's gone through the exact same things they have. And like, she's like, no, he's here and it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, did we kind of touch on everything? Because you're right. Like, Teresa, everyone else kind of has this very small takeaway, like, lines that aren't really.
Son has a plant to help with headaches.
Yeah.
Which plant it is, unsure.
I also think it's like, just talking about Sun very quickly, I think it's starting to become a little bit obvious that she knows what people are saying around her.
Yeah.
And I can't remember when it is, but I think that's how you're going to see that Kate figures it out because of something like that. I have a memory of that kind of being like, she like laughs at something, and Kate is kind of like, you understood. Well, and you're starting to see it a little bit here. Like, she's like,
she kind of looks and she's listening, but not really listening. Yeah.
Because now she knows that Kate is no bueno.
Yeah. So yeah, that I think we're getting close to some sort of climax on that
revelation.
On that front.
I feel like we're also close to a Boone and Shannon flashback. We have to.
I think that's next week, actually.
Because he's like, when you end an episode with him locking out in the corner, like, you know, like,
yeah, he's not right in the head right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's next week. Is a Boone.
I think so too.
I don't know if they're. I'm sure it's the both of them, but it's kind of like Jin and Sun.
Yeah, it's hard to remember. I think it's technically a Boone flashback, but we're going to see like a ton of Shannon in it.
Well, because they're siblings, right?
Step siblings.
Yeah.
Are we ready for rankings?
Yes, let's hear the rankings.
Because it's going to be interesting for rankings because there were only several like really key players in this episode. So
I will say, almost everybody got points whether or not they were positive or negative, except for Jin, who was not in it at all,
or Claire.
And Claire, who was not in it at all. Everybody else got like a little something, whether it be up or down.
Okay.
So we're going to start at the bottom, as per usual, with Michael. He went up, but he's still at minus 1,345.
Of course.
But our 13th spot has changed.
Oh.
And we have Miss Kate Austin with negative 665.
The gap between Michael, like 14th and 13th, is just out of this world.
All right. Then we have Shannon with negative 495, Jen with negative 60, and then the top 10 all in the.
Wow, more people are moving up.
Yeah, they are moving up. I'm a little bit worried about Michael and Kate. Why? They're pretty far down there. I'm not sure that they'll ever get to the positives at this point. So we have Boone with 50, Walt with 155, Sawyer with 180, Sayid with 285, Jack with 360, Claire 375, Locke 640, Sun 695, Hurley 720, and then Charlie is still at the top with 810. Now our honorary ranking goes to Rose, obviously. Obviously. Why is there confusion?
It's very, first of all, Chris will be so happy that Charlie's at the top. When did Claire go so far down?
Yeah, she was at the top not too long ago.
It's because everybody else is
And she hasn't really been in it much.
Exactly. That's the hard part.
And my only other question is, why is Walt above Boone?
Yeah.
I think it was when he was like just giving it straight to Michael, where like,
You liked that?
yeah, because
She loves to see a kid talk back to their dad.
I think that's what it was.
Okay, but
And then Boone,
It's just creepy.
he's just been like really like, he tries to help, but he's not doing it right. And then I understand that his heart's in the right place, but like what's the word? Like when you do it.
can I ask why is Locke so high though?
Locke
Moth.
went up a lot from the moth.
Oh, he's still lingering from that. Wow.
And that's the thing is like a lot of these centric episodes, like Kate plummeted like 400 points in one episode, right? Like there's not a lot of good.
I think the centric episodes really
Make or break.
hurt and and help. Like if you have a good centric episode, you're going to get a bunch of points and that could keep you in the ranking, like top for a bit. But then
Can we, like, after every season, send like the top 3 to like their fan mail?
Yeah.
Get a little certificate to the actors.
I would love that. They'd be like, what the hell is happening?
I really don't know who's going to end up at the top by the end of the season.
I know who's going to be at the bottom.
We should send that to him too. Congratulations.
Was he always at the bottom since the beginning?
Yes. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I don't know for a fact.
Shannon was at the bottom in the first
was she?
episode. I'm 100%.
I have all the rankings here, don't worry.
All
Michael was number 9 in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
And then he dropped down to 14 by Tabula Rasa.
So the second episode.
It was real fast.
And then never got
Okay.
out.
Well, should we do our final thoughts and or rankings if there are no final thoughts?
Ratings.
Yeah, let's do our
Rankings?
Ratings.
Ratings.
Why are you making fun of me?
Meaning to.
Ratings. It's so mean.
Okay, so I'll go first. I'm going to give it a 7.
So a little bit less than the IMDb rating, a little bit higher than Dan's rating.
Yeah. It was a filler in all intents and purposes, I believe. And I mean, whatever, it wasn't. I'm still going to watch it each season. I'm not a skipper. But not the greatest. So
I will give it a 6.5 as well. It's Kate. We all know. I think I was relatively restrained in my Kate hate today.
Terrifying.
But like she's manipulative. She's selfish. Let's just say this. In my quest to be proven wrong about Kate Austen, this isn't helping anyone's case. And then beyond that, it's just there's not a lot for it. I do feel bad for her at times. I don't like Jack in this. I think Charlie's cute. Shannon's cute. And I know what everyone's probably thinking and tuning in for. They want to know what happened with Claire, and we're not getting that. So
and I don't know when we do. I can't remember.
Me neither. I'm gonna give this a 6.9. It's like I said, like we've all kind of said, like it's a filler, and then I really didn't enjoy that it was a filler of fillers. And what we learned about Kate is not that like new. Don't trust her. She's sketchbag. She lies. All we know is that Jack's weirdly in love with a liar for some strange reason. And it just, I don't know, it just was bleh. Like, and after the last episode, I understand, like, you're right, you can't have every episode be like, wham, bam, but this was very like,
I appreciate how you describe in sound effects.
I'm so sorry.
Wah-wah. Wham, bam, wah-wah.
I don't, you know.
Alrighty, well, thanks everybody for listening. Please follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at letsgetlostpod.info. Email us with any feedback at letsgetlostpod@gmail.com. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Get Lost. Be sure to tune in next week wherever you listen to your podcasts and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at letsgetlostpod. Links to our website and Patreon can be found in our profiles. Join our Patreon for only $3 a month for exclusive access and content like Spoiler Island. Be sure to get lost with us again next time. Bye.
Hey.
Okay.